Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode in Pitch Us. Excited to have a really great entrepreneur with us, Cal and Brian. I'm joined with Jeff Erickson as usual. My name is Tim Cooley. I'm the author of the Pitch Deck book and part of the Park City Angels as the executive director there. Jeff, please do an introduction.
Yes, Jeff Erickson. I'm with a company called Forecaster. We do financial modeling, make financial modeling easy for founders. Work with a lot of different startups, lots of different founders, do a lot of mentoring and startup coaching. Excited to have Cal pitch to us today.
Yes, excited. Cal, please share your screen and pitch us.
Sure, thank you. My name is Cal Shelby. I'm the founder and CEO of Wyth. We have created a new company called Wyth. We are, as far as we know, we are the only company in the world that have been able to unite both rideshare as well as carpooling under one platform. And the reason being is because the requirement for drivers and riders on both systems are totally different. Rideshare is typically rides around campus, and carpooling is city to city travel. So why Wyth? Why did we come up with Wyth? I'm the father of four daughters, and Brian has six children, two of them in college. Mine all graduated from college. But we can tell you a story, and we've heard stories, and we can give you a couple of examples here. At the University of Utah, two young ladies got into one of the major rideshare companies' car, and in two separate occasions, and both end up tragically being killed by the driver. I was with a young lady yesterday from Purdue University, and she also mentioned that there was a young lady that got into one of the major rideshare companies' car, and she was killed by the driver. So that is the number one reason for Wyth. Safety is going to be our number one mission. So while rideshare technology has solved a lot of the mobility, issues, one of its negative byproducts is obviously safety. We have talked with over 20 different university administrators, and every one of them talks to us about the safety concerns that they have for their student population. We've talked to also numerous leaderships of student organizations like Student Government Association, the fraternities and sororities. I can tell you, especially the leaders of sororities have always told us that safety is their number one concern. For parents, we typically ask one question. Jeff, Eric, if you guys are parents of students in college today and you received a call from your son and daughter at the university saying, hey, I'm about to get into a rideshare company, 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, what will you say? Great, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Or will you say, hey, call me as soon as you get out of the car? We find that 100% of the parents that we talk to, every one of them has safety on their mind, and they tell us that they will never go to sleep unless they know that their son and daughter is out of that car. So what are the mobility needs at the universities? We find that they are looking for safe rides around campus, but also to address long distance travel to airports, homes, sports events. We're coming on the football season with the bowl games. So these are the things that university students need. So what is our solution? Our solution is to be known as the safest mobility platform in the world. And how do we do that? Number one is we have created what we call a closed loop system. All of our users are typically from the same university community. The only ones who can use our app are students, faculty, staff, and alumni. We have a multi-level verification for drivers. We do the same background check, DMV check, etc. on all of our drivers, but the other verification is through student organizations. What we have also different is at 10 p.m. or past 10 p.m., if a female driver or a female rider wants to request to be driven by a female driver, she will be able to do that. Part of the safety features for our version 2 will be creating something that we call the circle of trust. And what that is a student can basically put together a list of trusted friends, and they don't have to be on campus. They could be on campus and off campus. And if they're ever on a ride with us and they feel unsafe, all they have to do is push that one button on their phone on the app, and it will send a text to all of their trusted friends to say, hey, I'm in trouble, give me a call. We believe once a call is ensued that it will alleviate the situation. When we put this together, we put it together so that if you are on a ride with Wyth, you'll be able to use it. But the team felt that this is a great safety feature that we will allow students to be able to use it at anywhere at any time. For version 3, we are looking at creating something called the Circle of Volunteers. Most universities have these blue phones. They're typically about 100 yards away from each other. In case of an emergency, you run to the phone, you pick it up. While this is an antiquated system, we believe that we can create this blue phone aspect in each of the phones that they have in their pockets. So if they're ever on campus or anywhere and they can hit that button, it will call out to the volunteers to come and assist them. Again, we are also providing a dual mobility platform for rideshare, which are limited coverage area around the campus, the housing, and the business district. Typically, as we're rolling out to the University of Alabama, this is about a 3-mile radius that covers about 98% of the housing unit, as well as the campus itself and the business district, and carpooling for city to city. A lot of universities have told us that they have a major issue with getting students to airports to fly out during Thanksgiving, Christmas, etc. Have we created something with a market fit? And I can tell you unequivocally, we have talked to 23 universities, and every one of the universities at the end of our presentation have said, when can you start? So we believe we have a very, very strong market fit. These 23 universities represent over 1 million students, faculty, and staff. The market opportunity for us, the Juniper research has basically shown that the rideshare market is about $147 billion in 2022 worldwide. And this is going to go to $937 billion by 2025. 60% of that is going to be here in the US. Even though there are 4,400 colleges and universities in the US, we are focusing on 1,044 universities with a market potential of $9 billion. On the carpool side, we believe that there are 3 markets for us here. One is the university with all of the students. There are 48% of the students out of the 20.5 million students in the 4,400 colleges and universities that actually have cars on campus. So during Thanksgiving, Christmas break, spring break, etc., all of those students can travel together instead of having millions of parents going to pick up their kids. There are 17 states that are looking to pass regulations for corporations with more than 100 employees to have a carpool option. So we will be poised to take advantage of that market. As well as here in the United States, there are 20 million cars on our highways every day that travel city to city. 85% of them is just the driver by himself. So this would be a huge market for us. Our application right now is already in the app stores, and we have mimicked for ease of use, if you will, the same other rideshare companies how to use the rideshare. We have put together a great team with over 200 years of experience in startups. I just want to highlight Mr. Howie Ronay, who's an art director. He is a renowned art director. He created, if you remember, about 10 years ago, that advertisement for Kmart with Ship My Pants. He is the one doing a lot of our marketing for us. Our business model, we are starting out as a B2C with rideshare. One of the main differentiators that we have between us and between the other rideshare companies is the pricing. We believe pricing is also a safety element. With the surge pricing, we've heard from students at Tuscaloosa that they are paying anywhere from $15 to $40 for a ride within the 3-mile radius. Our rides are only $7. We are a pool, so that a driver can pick up more than one individual. And our carpool is a matching process. But we believe that there is an opportunity for us to be a B2B with university sponsorship. To give you an example, at the University of Alabama, they currently charge students within their tuitions approximately $1,300 per semester for transportation costs for a bus system that 90% of the students do not use. So if they would give us $300 out of that $1,300 per student per semester, we would be able to provide 50 free rides for the students between 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. under a Safe Ride program. This will generate approximately $12 million per semester for us just from the University of Alabama. So we understand that we are facing an 800-pound gorillas with Uber and Lyft. We understand that these are extremely large companies, well established, and leaders in the rideshare market. But we believe that they also have a lot of major safety concerns that we can address through our closed loop, all of the different functionalities that we talked about, as well as our pricing methodologies. Um, the rideshare campus acquisition for us is a lot slower than the carpooling because it does require the driver background checks, etc. But on the carpool, all we have to do is partner with the student organizations, and they can begin downloading the app and using it for carpool. So as you see here with the Performa, within 5 years, we will be approximately in 90 rideshare campuses. But on the carpool side, we could be in over 500. The unit economics works extremely well for us, again, because our drivers are pool drivers, so they can pick up one or more passengers at a time. Typically, it's going to be a 1 mile average length of a trip. So the break-even point for us would be two riders, and at that point, becomes extremely profitable for us. We believe that students will be able to pick up more than 6 to 8 riders per hour in order to for us to be extremely successful. The data monetization is, I think, a very, very important component of this. The 18 to 24 age group is extremely important for corporations, and the reason being is they can have them as customers for the next 40 years. Most corporations collect only the geographics data, the geolocation data. For us, we'll be able to collect the demographics, their gender identity, as well as what we call the psychographics. What are their hobbies? What are their interests? What are their major fields of study, etc.? And the reason they'll be able to volunteer that, imagine if you're traveling with someone for 2 hours. Don't you want to know a little bit about them so that you can begin the conversation with them? We have collected over $300,000 from family and friends. And currently we have 2 safe agreements from 2 individuals that actually are part of a team right now. We are looking for $1 million, either under convertible note or a safe agreement. And with that, I will stop sharing and take your questions.
Okay, great
Awesome.
job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cool. So I'm trying to process some things. First of all, great presentation. We'd love to start off by just telling you some things that we liked.
Sure.
So Jeff, why don't you start off there?
Oh man, I wrote down a lot of stuff I liked. Actually, that was very well done. Great presentation. You've obviously done this a couple times. So first off, I thought the problem was well identified. My initial thoughts coming out of it was, okay, how big of an opportunity is this going to be? Thinking of campus rideshare, and then as you got into it, it's like, yeah, this could be huge. So I thought the problem was well identified, and the whole safety thing. It did bring up a couple of questions, but we can get into that later. I thought the whole flow of it was extremely well done. I thought it flowed really well. I didn't see. I mean, you hit on all the major points. There's so many of the presentations that we see where they leave out critical elements. I thought you hit pretty much everything I think of in terms of the critical elements that I was wondering about as an investor. So great job there. The other thing that I thought was really well done was just the whole market slide. I mean, you didn't have your typical, TAM, SAMs, SOM slide, but it came across that, hey, this could be a big market, and here's why. So a lot to like about that. I also really liked your market fit slide where you had some good logos. And let's see, what else did I write down? Like I said, there was a lot to like about your presentation. about the slide deck and all of that. I'll let Tim jump in with other things before I get to a couple things that I might suggest.
Yeah, I agree. There was a lot to like about it. It was very easy to listen to you speak about this. I'll say that that's not always the case when people present. Sometimes they're like searching for data, but you clearly knew everything that you were talking about, which is great. So it's clearly you've practiced this before, and you're not new to business, which is something that, like, as an investor, we're looking for those like champions who we think can run companies, and it's clear like that's definitely you and your team. I like the branding, actually. I like the colors. There's just a lot of little things I like. There's some areas where I think we can improve. But overall, just from a presentation point of view, I'm listening. And I think that you've gotten way beyond where most entrepreneurs go. So great job there. With that being said, let's talk about some areas of improvement. Jeff, why don't you start us off?
Okay. The one thing I thought, the team slide was awesome in terms of it felt like you had a good team. The problem I had, I don't know if I had enough time to digest who all was on the team and what they did there. It was pretty crowded. I don't know if I'm not sure if I would remove people and just highlight some others, but the thing I did like is that where you talked about the marketing guy made the legitimacy there. Everybody remembers the campaign. Was it FedEx or
Target.
He did FedEx as well as he did the Kmart. Ship my pants.
Yes, the ship my pants was awesome, and everybody's gonna remember that. So, and again, that creates some credibility there on, wow, you got this guy on your team. I wanted to probably hear a little bit more about some of the other folks that are making this happen.
Sure.
But I mean, we could dive into that, and I'd probably ask you to go back to the slide and maybe dive into the team a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
The other thing I wondered about I had more questions, I guess, around the use of funds. So I didn't see, why do you need $1 million? Where does that get you? And the other piece that was kind of missing was the current traction. You've got an app, which was awesome. I'm going, oh, awesome. They've already got the app out there. It's not a pie in the sky. We're going to develop this. Give us your money to develop it. It's like, it's already out there. I didn't see the traction, like how many users. I got the impression that you were talking to the University of Alabama.
Sure.
That might be your first
You want me to
one.
answer?
I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper on the traction.
Did you want me to start talk about it right now?
So yeah, that was I think the only thing that I felt was really missing is coming away from it going, I'm not quite sure if you've had people paying for it and what that kind of looks like to date.
Sure. So we started approximately a month ago at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Okay. And we've got about 300 students that have downloaded the app and that have begun to use it. We've got probably over closer to 200 ride shares have already been done. But as a lot of the startup companies, we wanted to start very slow before we kind of pushed it to the 40,000 students to make sure the app is functioning 100% and it's capable of doing that. So we're getting a lot of feedback from students regarding some of the elements of it. And we've been changing. One thing that students have asked us is, hey, I'd like to take a buddy with me. Can you add so that I can add a buddy to it? Because again, we're selling each just like a bus per seat. That's $7 gets you one seat. So it's not, like Uber and Lyft in the sense of, you're getting the car all by yourself, right? So we added that feature to it. And we're continuing to add some other stuff to it. So, the traction is not something that, is, has exploded because we've not pushed it on the student organizations. The one thing I want to talk about, I think that's for both of you gentlemen, as well as any potential investor, is, the cost of acquisition. How are we going to acquire these customers and how much it's going to cost us, right? And so to address that, again, which is different than Uber and Lyft, is we are proposing to partner with student government associations, with Greek councils, with faith-based organizations, in fact, any and all organizations on campus. After all, each of their members could be either a driver or a rider for us. So there's a revenue sharing aspect by partnering with us, by converting all of their members into riders and drivers for us. And so we have not started that program yet, which will really explode the traction, if you will, with regards to that. So a very large organization can actually make anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 a year by partnering with us. So this would be a huge aspect of this. The other thing that's very, very important also, besides attracting users, drivers, and riders, where we believe that the partnership with organizations is extremely important, is if you remember the B2B aspect of it. It will, for us as a third party company to go to the administration to say, give us $300 a student a semester, is not as strong as if the Student Government Association, the four councils and other organizations go to the administration and say, hey, we're not using the bus system that you have out here, so we want you to divert $300 per semester to Wyth, so that we can use something, something that we can use.
Yep. No, very, very interesting. So, and then I guess the last point I wanted to hit on is more of a question of, it sounds like you're going to be raising $1 million. Question on use of funds, but also what are the terms there? And you brought your legal counsel, who's also an investor. So I think one of the questions I would love to ask is, why did you invest, Brian? And would love to hear your thoughts.
Well, I think the biggest thing, I was looking for, I'm a startup. I'm always looking for startups. I just love trying to build something, getting started from the ground up. I saw the idea. One, it hits home to me personally. I have two sons who are university age. I have a daughter who is a senior in high school right now, and I think that's probably it's very different as a dad sending his daughter off to college, and looking at that. I think that I can understand. I really understand the ride share. Because I've used it, it's been in there, and it's become natural for a lot of people. But this market segment and this niche is grossly underserved. It is undervalued. It's not looked at as highly as it should be. There's 2,800 college towns just in the United States and Uber operates in 263 cities, and that's it. They have a different niche. They have a different need for just volume. We don't. That limited service area. I just think I saw that there was a different opportunity to really expand and go out as well to other universities. Going back to that traction, it is not a hard sell to add a carpool university to this. It's a heavy lift to add a rideshare university. And that's where that slide talks about, this year we're going to have one university campus probably as a rideshare. But we can add, it is so easy to add a carpool university. We're already, even though we started last month at the University of Alabama, we're already adding a rideshare campus to the University of Alabama, Birmingham, and Georgia Southern University. We just received the permit, I guess our license for the state of Georgia on Monday. We had a meeting today with Georgia Southern that had the VP of Student Life, all the student organizations, the Director of Transportation just today, and they said, now that you've got it, how quick can you be here? UAB is the same way. Auburn is the same way. So right now we have 2 states where we could go to, Alabama and Georgia. We're filling out our permits right now for the state of Arizona, adding in those campuses, so we could actually accelerate even past what our projections are with the carpool. So that's where most of our traction is right now, is spent on, how do we get those carpool ones as well.
All right. Very cool. Last question was, what are the terms that you're going out with on your safe?
It's $10 million valuation right now, Jeff, is what we're looking for, as well as 20% discount to that $1 million. Either under a safe agreement or a convertible note, whichever you prefer.
Yep. Great. Well, Tim, I'll let you kind of chime in on some of the things that you picked up on.
Cool. Thanks for that additional information. And then for our viewers, if you can bring investors with you to calls, especially virtually, do it. Jeff asked, Brian what his opinion is and why he was interested in this deal. And that's actually really common in pitching, because I'll give you a little secret. As investors, we don't want to look stupid. So if there's somebody else out there who's investing, we're going to try and follow them anyways, especially in angels. We're looking to follow people. We don't always lead. I will say it that way. And so if someone else has done the due diligence and they like it, then we sometimes follow that lead. So if you can, bring somebody with you. But as far as feedback for the deck, a couple things that I would have liked to see, and I wonder if this is more as a business model conversation, is I'm wondering what's different between like just featuring, like could these Uber create some features and then kind of solve what you're doing? Like what's preventing them from doing this thing? That's what I would have loved to seen that in there. As far as I do love the campus thing, Brian, you kind of said it, Uber's not in every city, and there's lots of colleges where people just need to get around. And I'm curious, is the revenue model going to be this where the campus covers the charge or the student covers the charge? I really do think that's more defensible if the campus is covering the charge versus the student. I Uber all the time. And so I'm trying to understand what's defensible from just Uber putting on, like this is the Wildcat logo, and I know that that's a student, right?
Yeah.
And so like, again, which would be fun, it'd be a fun experience. So those are some things that I would love to explore more. As far as the presentation goes, I love when I see the revenue model earlier. Problem, solution, revenue model. I think it's really clear, the problem statement that you covered. I think safety in this space is a huge issue, even with Uber and Lyft. Like it is not something that it goes unnoticed, because they don't want to be in the news for that. But I do think there's a good idea here with this campus thing, because it's your peers. It could be your buddy, and so I think there's something there. As far as some other slides, there was a big dip in your financial slide. If you have a dip in a slide, make sure you address it. Like, for example, we're going to be investing big heavily here, or whatever. The question will come up like, what's happening in Q3 of next year or whatever. Because otherwise you're like, man, you just lost money for no reason. It just kind of gets a little weird.
Summer school.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, there you go.
Because
the right
so
share.
It's seasonal.
Quarter, as a quarter aspect. So you have the summer where there's a dip.
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't even think about that. All I saw was a draft that goes like,
Yeah.
But good thing to point that out. I'm trying to think of some other things that I'll say it this way. One thing is, make sure your font isn't too small. On the team slide, the font was really, really small. We like to tell people don't use anything less than 22, and add more data to that slide as well. You can, if the bottom row is your advisors, make them much smaller, and then really highlight that C-suite executives. And then make sure you end with, in my opinion, end with the ask slide. I tell this to everybody. It's like my thing. If I could leave one mark on the world, it would be this. is just leave with the ask slide, put your contact information on there. And like Jeff said, what the use of funds are for. I don't think we got what the milestones that you plan to accomplish with this ask. So I would love to know what are the milestones that are being achieved, and then what is needed from an employee perspective to accomplish those milestones. And Jeff mentioned traction. Minimal traction is great. 300 people that have used the application is huge when you're getting started. And I think that those data points are very, very important, especially because now we've known what's happened. And our milestones are to launch these 10 features. We're going to open it up to the next 10,000 at Alabama. We're going to start a pilot program at another school. So if we already have traction, we know where to build from in our brains. And so we're like, oh, sweet, I can see where the revenue model really kicks in once you guys actually get something going. That gets me excited. And then, yeah, I think that's a lot of the feedback. The real thing here is I'm really curious on how you guys integrate with the schools that prevents Uber and Lyft from just featuring this component out. I think that's something that was really missing for me personally. Yeah. Any questions on that? I feel like this is a good one for questions because
You know what? These are
normally
great
we don't
points.
do that.
Yeah, these are great points. You highlighted, Tim, and obviously we'll take that into in our how we restructure. Um, but listen, I mean, at the end of the day, I wish that we can sit there and bottle the excitement, if you will, from the students, whether it's females, whether it's organizations. As Brian has said, we had a meeting today with the Georgia Southern, and the excitement from the representative of the Student Government Association as well as others was just. I mean, they were the ones basically driving this, and they're the ones saying, yes, we want this, right? And so if you have kids in college, all you got to do is just kind of show them, let them, know about it, and they will tell you through their own excited way how they will use it and how much they're excited about it. And so we're very excited about, again, the market fit and, how students are responding to it. Obviously, Facebook started at the university level and then exploded from there. And that's exactly the model that we're following. We're starting at the university level. The carpooling is going to be really huge for us, especially, as I mentioned, with 17 states coming in with regulations. Guys, even if we charge $1 per week for every employee, you're looking at tens of millions of dollars, per month that we can generate on the carpool side, whether they use it or not. But I mean, if giving the opportunity, I think a lot of people would rather carpool than drive, especially in heavy traffic for an hour to get to work all by themselves.
Yeah.
Let me address that real quick. I don't know if that's true. I've never carpooled, and you can do that with Uber. I'm not gonna deny what you're saying, but I would love the data to show that that's a true statement.
Sure.
And I think that's that traction element that we're seeing. Like if that's the business model, and I think you have two completely different use cases for carpooling and this kind of hyper local commuter rideshare, which is what the other version is. And again, those are two different businesses.
Yes.
Right. I mean, the same platform, but right, two different messagings, a whole bunch of things.
Yep.
And I think that's something that's like really missing for me is which one you're going after first. It sounds like they're kind of both happening at the same time.
They are.
Yeah.
And to give you
and then with that being said, so like, and this is one thing that you mentioned, and this is a really hard thing for some people to do is when you're hyper focused on a market, you said that data was going to be important, right? And then you said, imagine a 2-hour drive, right? Well, if the majority of, and again, if the business model A is these hyper local college only kind of commutes, that's a mile or two. There's no 2-hour commute happening there. So there's two different messages happening at the same time. But what you can do there, if that's the case, is focus the entire pitch on one area. And then you say, look, here's the traction so far, and here's where we're going to go in the future. We're going to unlock carpooling in a year and a half. Now, this is for the pitch itself. In reality, you might be doing something different, but just in the pitch, keeping it hyper local or hyper focused on one business model, because we're startups, we can't do more than one. That might be a really, really nice way of also communicating to us that you, in about 3 years or so, you're going to be going down a new market, which can double or triple the market you're going after today.
Yeah, I would say,
Just an
Tim.
idea there.
Yeah, that's a great point. Unfortunately, the reality is, and I like to be truthful, especially with the potential investors if they're going to write a check. The reality is this: we have done the rideshare program right now in Tuscaloosa at the University of Alabama, but they've also got 59% of their student population that are out of state, and they fly out of Birmingham, and that's a major pain point for them, and they fly out of Atlanta Airport. When we talked with Georgia Southern today, their students fly out of Savannah, which is about two and a half hours of time, but also a bulk of their students are from Atlanta area. So while we can sit there and postpone the aspect of carpooling, we're actually going to be rolling that out around Thanksgiving in 3 universities, not just one. So it is a major traction for us, that we need to kind of highlight, because we're doing rideshare in Tuscaloosa, but we're doing carpooling in 3 universities come this Thanksgiving, and the app will be able to handle that.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I like what Brian was saying about it's easier to get the carpooling in. You could see the real traction and then kind of lead with that, and then follow the rideshare programs.
Because what happens, Jeff, the way that the carpool is, every student with a car can actually post and say, hey, I'm leaving Georgia Southern, let's say on Tuesday, and I'm going to Atlanta, and I'm going to come back on Sunday. And I've got 2 seats available. I got 3 seats available. Here's the other thing that's also very, very important. We don't dictate what the pricing is. What we do is make a suggestive. So we take whatever the miles are between city A to city B and tell the driver, you should be getting, whatever those miles are times 25 cents. Why 25 cents? Because the bus tickets that we've analyzed, they charge anywhere from 28 cents to 31 cents. Greyhound, right? The train tickets, they charge anywhere from 36 cents to 42 cents per mile. So we want to be around the 25 cents. Again, this is a suggested price. But in our discussions with fraternities and sororities, what they told us is, well, guess what? If Brian is one of my fraternity brothers, I may want to only charge him $15. But for Tim and for Jeff, I want to charge $30. They'll be able to do that on our app. Because one thing that fraternities told us, it is so hard to collect money from your fraternity brothers. And with this, I will force them to sit there and use it. And it's a 75-25 split, Tim. I know you had that question coming up.
Yes. I want to know how you guys make money.
Yeah, 25%.
Cool. Well, that's all my feedback. I mean, interesting. So this comes down to the final question. Based off of what we heard today, Jeff, would you take this company onto due diligence?
Yeah, good question. It's interesting because you're super early, and that's the one thing that I keep coming back to is I could probably wait for 3 to 6 months and see where you guys are at. If it said in there that you had already raised $500,000 of the $1 million, then I'd probably be a little more anxious. Interestingly, what I would do is I would probably say, hey, let's regroup in 2 months, see where things are at. So I don't know if that's due diligence or not, but I would probably say, let's see where things are at in 2 months, let's maybe 3 months, because I want to see, you guys are in that interesting space where you're getting this data and you're acting on some of it. You're still in that learning mode, and you're just going out for the $1 million. It sounds like there's not a rush on my part to jump in right now, if that makes sense. So I don't know, take that as feedback or as the way I would look at it.
Great.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as Jeff. I think I actually would take this to a due diligence, meaning I'd really want to see the data that you guys are collecting. So I think that would be a due diligence call in this case. The finances are not going to matter in this case. It's really that data on those 300 people that you've done, and then and I would end up probably following you guys for a couple months as we see those data points, so that I would say probably in 2 to 3 months, I would have a real clear, cost of customer acquisition, use rates, and things like that. And then to see this other revenue model, because you said it's going to happen in November with the ride share. And if we believe that that's the bread and butter of the company, then I think I would wait for that to happen. And so in like maybe 6 months from now, we'd have a real good idea on what's happening. But I think I would. I would like to see this again. I want to see behind the curtain a little bit on this one. So
yeah. No, I'm the same way. And at the very least, I mean, I want you to put me on your investor list. And so hopefully you're doing investor updates on a monthly basis. And I think it would warrant a monthly investor update, because there's so much going on right now that I think you could show, this is what we've seen. Here's what we've accomplished this month. Here's, what we need. And just have that investor update. And I would, like Tim said, I'd like to follow you for a couple months and see where these are at. What would get me to move to due diligence is if you told me that, I've got $750,000 that's been committed or out of the $1 million. And then, and again, that's the trick. How do you get there to that? But that's what's going to get investors to also move quicker. For right now, I want to see a little bit more data.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, we have 250,000 committed.
Oh, you got to say that.
See, put it on the deck.
It is. It is there. I mean, 250,000. We put it in as 2 safe agreements, and those 2 gentlemen actually joined the team. I mentioned that.
Oh, you did up front. That's right. On your ask slide.
Yes,
that's
they were 250 up there as 2 safe agreements.
Yeah, we need.
And so I think I would highlight that, because I kind of skipped over that and it didn't totally compute.
Yeah.
So make sure you let people know that we're looking for $1 million. We've already got 250, and so we're really looking to fill this out.
Yeah.
I was looking at $1 million. And I'm like, okay.
No, right above that, 2 safe agreements of 250, and I said these 2 gentlemen that gave us the money are actually part of the team already. So,
gotcha.
Oh, I didn't hear that. I don't remember.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember hearing it now that you bring it up.
Yeah,
but I would definitely make that a clear point. And as you raise more capital, increase it. It's like, hey, and what we've got soft circled even. It's like, hey, we've got 250 closed and we've got 500,000 soft circled. You better get in now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's my fault I didn't, clarify that. So,
well, this is actually, hopefully that's good feedback, because I think you can do some damage with that.
Absolutely. So the next 100 to 250 that comes in, we're going to be reaching back to you guys to say, okay, look, we've reached the 500,000. Are you guys ready to step up?
Love it.
Fraction.
Sounds good.
All right.
I love it. Awesome. Well, this was a great presentation, guys. You did an excellent job, Cal.
Thank you.
One of the better pitch decks and everything that we've seen, I think.
Great. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, if you're out there looking for help for your pitch deck, please check out the book, the Pitch Deck book. And if you're also needing assistance with your finances, check out Forecaster and reach out to us. We're happy to help. Until next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.